has never been a more important time to move in a vegan direction. Whether you're ready to start, restart, or re-energize your vegan or plant-based practice, this podcast is for you. I'm Michelle Olander, life coach, vegan, ADHD matriarch, travel lover, and smoothie loather. And I know that it's the details that get in the way of your vegan journey. But I like to believe that the obstacle is always the way. So every week we meet here where I translate the tools of life coaching and Stoic philosophy. I bring you actionable tips, some laughs, interesting guests, and vegan ideas for everyone at any age. All to help you veg your best. Episode 250, Miami Vegan with Ellen Canner. Hi, my Vedge Your besties. It's Michelle, and if you're not a Vedge Your bestie yet, welcome. I hope you're going to enjoy it here today. On podcast episode 250, we're welcoming back a very special guest. Award-winning writer, culinary instructor, longtime vegan, and one of my favorite voices in the plant-based world, Ellen Canner. Ellen is here to talk about her brand new cookbook, really brand new, Miami Vegan, plant-based recipes from the tropics to your table. And tropics to your table is exactly right. This book's going to bring you the sunshine, the spice, the stories of Miami. It's going to bring them all to life through food that you can make in your home. And Ellen is a real Miamian. You're going to hear about that in the podcast. And she invites us to experience her city, not just through recipes, but through the Royal Poinciana trees in bloom, hundreds of varieties of mangoes, avocados in her neighbor's yard, all seen through a cultural, is it kind of a mashup of Miami's rich Latin and Caribbean and even American stories. And while you're listening, while you're hanging on Ellen's every word, I'd love to plant this subconscious suggestion. How do I say that? Subconscious suggestion in your brain. If you were writing a vegan or plant-based cookbook inspired by your town, your region, your family, what would be in there? What flavors, what memories or dishes would you want to share with others? Because what Ellen reminds us is that plant-based eating, it's not one size fits all. It's personal, it's cultural, it's real, and it's deeply rooted in the places and people and traditions that we love most. So let's head right now to the Magic City, Miami, Florida, and Ellen Canner. Ellen Canner, welcome to Vedge Your Best, author of a brand new Miami Vegan plant-based recipes from the tropics to your table. I can't wait to get another shot at talking to you.
Thank you. I was so excited when you invited me back because I still remember our very warm, wonderful conversation from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it's a while now. And, when I talk to people about their businesses, whether they're vegan, whether they're podcasts, whatever, I always think it's such a great idea to locate in this world where you don't know where anyone's from online, right? We have no idea. I love it when someone says where they're from. Miami Vegan, your muse, really.
Yes, well, maybe more like my bad boyfriend. I do love Miami, and I can understand why sometimes people get frustrated. The traffic can be unbearable, and now we're in June, and I used to love summers in Miami, but climate change is real, and sometimes going outside now, I just want to melt. But also, I remember there was one day I was out walking the dog. It was early. I was kind of grumpy and not yet caffeinated. And I'm thinking about all I had to do for the day. And my neighbor had a big box of avocados out. And she said, "Oh, take some. I can't even eat these all." And we have beautiful royal poinciana. They're a flame-colored blossom that a tree that blooms in May and June. And later I went for a walk on the beach. I thought, I've got deadlines. I've got a busy life, but man, where I get to live, how lucky is that?
Yeah. Yeah. Miami is an amazing place, isn't it? I mean, it's a world city. It's not just a regional American city. It's really an international city. And you are unusually fifth generation Miami?
Yeah, that's almost unheard of.
Unheard of. Absolutely. Tell me about that. Who was the first Miamian in the family? Do you know much about him or her?
My understanding, it was my I might be missing a great grandfather, Harry. And the family came from Romania. And I'm thinking, what were they doing here? At that time, Miami was not a metropolis, it was mostly mosquitoes. And yet they made their way. And I find that fascinating. We don't know a lot about how it all happened, but we do know that. And there's like some pictures of him from a long, long time ago. So, yeah, he was a pioneer. I like that.
That's amazing. That really, it's very, very unusual to meet anybody who didn't just arrive in the last maybe 50 years. I mean, that's amazing.
But it's true. We do come from, all of us come from somewhere else. And I love the tropical and cultural and culinary mix of Miami. It's very dynamic.
Absolutely. Very dynamic, very international. And I'm wondering how that shows up in your food and in this book, Miami Vegan.
Well, I do live it here. We have what I call the title Miami Vegan, but Miami isn't at all monolithic. We have a Latin community and not just one flavor of Latin. There's like Cuban, there's Nicaraguan, there's Venezuelan, there's Costa Rican, and they all have their different culinary and cultural foodways about them. Same for Caribbean. There's Bahamian, there's Jamaican, there's so many. I'm not even like I'm blanking on right
Haitian,
now.
I'm sure. Haitian
Haitian,
foods.
yes, we have beautiful Haitian community. And so all that comes together on the plate. It's very exciting and delicious.
And we've talked about it in before in another term about pot cake. Tell me what is the metaphor of the pot cake?
Oh, thank you for bringing that up. Um, Pot cake it comes in many, many names, but it's the rice and beans that stick to the bottom of the pot. And it's crusty and delicious, and it's always the best bits. And I sort of think that's what Miami cuisine is. It's all the best bits kind of compressed and crunchy and exciting together.
Yeah, and that's the idea I think of Miami. I think it now feels very much like Nobu. It feels very much like, five-star hotels and, glamour. But Miami really is that what the Italians talk about, the cucina povera, that there is really that same kind of, maybe not indigenous, but that same like basicness of deliciousness in Miami cuisine, isn't there?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, it's exciting that we have all these Michelin star chefs now and restaurants where if you want to have dinner there, you should have called last month. But really, if you want to speak my love language, it's what you're describing. It's the really beautiful, simple foods that we with bright tropical flavors. Rice and beans are my love language, full stop.
Yeah, rice and beans are it. And when people say, I don't know what to cook for you, Michelle, I'm like, rice and beans in some form or another, that I couldn't be simpler. So what rice and beans, and then that's almost like a palette, like a grounding for all this other magic that you can make. What is an ingredient that maybe the rest of the United States or Europe aren't using that Miamians use all the time?
Couple spices. We do
Mm.
like our spice. We love chili, but it doesn't have to be hot, hot. It's a gentle warming. Another spice that does that is allspice, which, despite its name, is not a spice blend or a spice at all. It's a berry, and it's dried, and it has a kind of mild fruitiness and a very earthy quality. If you like jerk, allspice is why jerk is brown. It's also why jerk is delicious.
Huh. I actually didn't know that. So and we can make jerk foods without animals.
Totally. It's made, in fact, I have a recipe for a jerk tofu bowl coming out next week. Jerk jackfruit is a total thing. So you get all those big, luscious tropical flavors without hurting anybody.
So now when we talk about back to Miami, because for me, when I think about what you've done here with your book, you've grounded it in Miami. You've given it the name of Miami, and I think we're all going to come to it with some sort of I don't know, prejudice is the wrong word, but some sort of like assumption of what Miami is. Where do you think we have it wrong when if you're not a Miamian, if you're just thinking, oh, Miami, where are we going wrong with that?
We do love glitz, we do, but we all have to live our lives too. So it's not all vacation land. We have a very active, growing community. I think people forget that South Florida accounts for a lot of the produce this country gets. Our growing season is totally crazy. Now that it is June, things are burning up, but we grow from September to May. Now we've got great tropical fruits like mango and lychees and avocado. I just want people to remember that Miami is a real place. It's not just nightclubs and glitzy restaurants. It's for real.
Yeah. And so what in your cookbook, plant-based recipes from the tropics to your table, Miami vegan, what are we what are we going to start with? What's like a meal that you would just say, open the book, start here?
Well, I start the book with a section called Bocaditos, little bites, because we don't really do mealtime in Miami. You feel like eating now, you can eat now. You want to eat later, you can eat later. You want to graze, you can graze. So
Mm.
I have a bunch of little bites that you can have any time of the day. I do start with Cuban coffee because we need to know how to make that. That is how most people start their day here. A good shot of that. But also, there is an iconic Miami recipe dish called smoked sea dip. So I wanted to get all the flavor, but none of the fish. So I have something called smoked sea dip that has that creaminess, that smokiness, that brininess of the sea, with I think just a handful of ingredients and no fish.
Are you going to tell us what goes into it?
Yes, of course I will. Tempeh, so you get a good dose of protein.
Mm.
Artichoke hearts, little bit of vegan mayo, some lime juice, and nori flakes. Nori is what you get the sushi wrap, and it adds a beautiful brininess. It's seaweed, so it is seafood. And mix all that together in a food processor. It's 5 ingredients, 5 minutes. And all my macho friends love it.
Well, that's great. I am gonna start there for sure. I'm gonna start there. Some of these recipes of my previous life have not been updated for my current choices. And a smoky, sea oriented dip is one of those things that people used to make for me and I enjoyed very much. And so it's lovely to know that that's still possible for me. And I love that this is part of what your cookbook does.
But it is more than dinner. It's culture, it's connection, and A lot of these dishes, like I have a vegan arroz con pollo, chicken and rice, which is a beloved Cuban dish, and I make it without chicken. When some of my Latina friends wanted to go vegan, they got a lot of family pushback because it wasn't just that they were giving up meat. It felt, I think, to their families like they were rejecting their culture. And I didn't want to do that. The recipes, I try to really pay tribute to their origins. And my head notes are really about that. Okay, this is the origin of the recipe. This is how I try and keep the soul and the flavor alive in a different way. I think maybe there's someone out there who's going to say, oh, my abuela does not make the recipe like this. And she's right. But that doesn't make this wrong. Language and cuisine are always evolving. So I'm trying to keep the soul of it and just make it accessible for everyone.
Mm. That is such a beautiful thing, and it is such a common obstacle for many of us who move in this direction after we've got some miles on the chassis. You know, when we're used to doing things a certain way. We're used to pleasing our families in a certain way. We're
Yeah.
used to honoring our family holidays in a certain way, and so this can be a little bit of a push up. I don't know, a little bit of
It's
a
a challenge. It
yeah.
absolutely is.
Yeah, and so this is wonderful if people could try one or two of these things to integrate. Nobody's asking everybody to change overnight. Well, maybe I am. Okay. If I'm honest, maybe I am. But I totally get I didn't change overnight either. So I don't judge anyone in any way for not changing overnight. But I love the idea of incorporating some of these things that honor our families and our traditions in a new way.
Right. Look, I'm the only vegan in my family, have always been. And, there are so many powerful, powerful reasons to go vegan. For me, it was animals at first, because I did it when I was a kid. And now, as a grown-up who lives in Miami and faces climate change every day, the climate implications of a vegan diet are vast and encouraging. And so, if it's not animal rights, if it's not wanting a more sustainable planet, if it's maybe it's health, which it is for a lot of people, because there's so many proven ways a vegan diet can improve your health and lower risk for all the things we do not want. But I find you have to start with friggin' delicious food. So that's the course I've taken. And the great thing is, okay, I have a recipe for vegan key lime pie, which, believe me, took a lot of doing before I believed I got it right. So come to Miami, come for the key lime pie, and stay for all the other things you are getting in the process. You're getting it all for free. It's one delicious package.
So how has Miami changed in these last few years for you in terms of like being able to talk about your interest? Because I think you had a column for years called Meatless.
I was HuffPost Meatless Monday blogger for 7 years.
Yeah.
I was a syndicated columnist in McClatchy called The Edgy Veggie. I've been able to write about this many different ways, many different times, and it's always good. You never know what's going to hit someone or how it's going to hit. So I can keep doing this every single day. It's very important.
As someone who has been showing up for a long time, and as you say, you could do it every single day. That's why I'm here. It's one of the only things I could do every single day is to keep
Mhm.
talking about how all the different ways that this can work for people. But you must, in Miami, in your real world, have seen things change, maybe for the good, maybe not for the good on this topic.
I have written for Veg News about the decline in vegan restaurants. And Miami lost a couple great ones in the last year. I mean, the pandemic was not kind to anyone in the food and beverage industry. But I think it's especially hard if you're a niche market. And boy, we lost a couple restaurants that I just love. On the other hand, we've got new ones. And there are more mainstream restaurants offering vegan options that you don't have to struggle with. So that is a degree of awareness that's been a long time coming, and I cheer it on. Anytime I go out and there's an easy vegan option, I say thank you to the server and please thank the kitchen for being so thoughtful.
Agreed. I think that's a really important part of our advocacy. Of course, we want to support vegan companies and businesses and restaurants. And we also also want to be thankful when they make it a little simpler for us, because we want to show there'll be more businesses if they can see the market, right? If they can see that there are people wanting to make these choices.
Absolutely. I am doing some programming in the fall called Vegan Means Business because it does. If you aren't making yourself vegan friendly, you're leaving money on the table. Why would you do that? I mean, I'm not the most business savvy person in the world, but I know when you're not making something accessible, you're losing money.
Yeah, we talked about this recently about the whole vegan veto. My family, even if they're a little bit about it, they're not going to go somewhere where there are no choices for me. They're just not. And so so a business it's like that has lost, a restaurant like that has lost 6 people, 8 people, 15 people, depending how many of us are going out that night. So,
Right.
and I think it's just, so short-sighted of them, because honestly, it's not hard.
No, it's so easy. And the advent of great commercial vegan products has made it so much easier. This vegan key lime pie, I couldn't have made it 10 years ago because the ingredients did not exist, or at least in a form that was accessible for most people. And that is another thing I say in the intro to Miami Vegan. There are some iconic recipes that are not in the book because I want this doable for home kitchens. So if this was going to be something that requires, I don't know, a food scientist, good luck to you on that. But no, it's not going to be in this book. It was very important for me to make these recipes accessible and doable using mostly plants and spices, so you don't have to go crazy at the supermarket. This is all stuff you know.
That's good to know, because you said you have about 90, 80, 90 recipes in there, and you talked about the bocaditos, so the little things. And I imagine, especially if you live year round in Miami, you don't always want a hot kitchen. You don't always want a big sit down multi-course meal. Bocaditos makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I have another section, I think the one right after that, called succulents, which is okay, bright, splashy flavors. In fact, I'm doing a cooking class tonight. One of my favorite salads is fireworks black bean and mango salad, which is great. And it's something I had to create on the fly for 4th of July when I was invited to a party. And then the host called me and said, "Oh my God, can you bring something because nothing else is vegan?"
You had to, for your own sake, you had to have it.
Right. And I brought it for everyone. And it wasn't like, okay, here's a vegan thing. It was like, here's a salad you can have. And it's great. It was easy. It was cool. It was bright. And I didn't have to go to the store. It was just everything I had in the house.
Oh, that sounds like the idea of perfection, when you can go to the pantry and make something fabulous. So I have seen black bean salad made with orange. In fact, have made that. So this sounds much more Miami.
Yes. And also, we're in the throes of mango season, which is totally delightful. But you can make it with orange. You can make it with papaya. I want this to be, you can make this wherever you live. And if you can't get your hands on a fresh mango, I'm sorry, but frozen will do.
Oh,
It's,
really? Really?
yes, really, really.
That's really good to know, because I am never in the right spot for a ripe mango. And I think I'm a little intimidated by them. Do you have a quick primer on how to choose a mango?
No, because there's something like 500 cultivars, and they all have their own personality as we do. Um, right now, I'm getting them hand over fist from my neighbor because his tree is just so prolific. And they all do, like some are hairier than the others, are squishier than the others, but they're all juicy and wonderful. And you should try them all when you get a chance.
No, I should. I think I've been intimidated by it. I think that's the thing is to maybe go to the farmers market when I'm in Florida and ask them give me one that's right for today or right for 2 days from now. Like in the old days, they talked about cheeses in France. You know?
That's
You would
right.
go to the cheesemonger and tell him what you needed, and he would tell you what to do. So yes, I think that I've been intimidated by mangoes and papayas because I'm such a New Englander. I don't really know those fruits.
Well, I know that sometimes you're in Florida, and yes, you absolutely should visit your farmer's market. Everyone should. And believe me, farmers and chefs, I find, are so passionate and giving that all you need to do is ask, and they'll like, no, I want you to taste this. Here, here's an absolutely ripe one. Here's one that's going to be good for you in 3 days. Yeah, they love to share. This is their life. This is their passion.
Yeah, and food is such a delivery, of that, of business, of culture, of interpersonal relationships. It's just great. And it's funny for me to even say out loud, I'm intimidated by mangoes.
But but very honest of you. I'm glad you did.
Well, it just shows, I think, what a rut we can get into in terms of the way we think about food, how we approach food and problem solving around food. And so it's so wonderful to have access to something beautiful like your new book, which is really new, right? This just in the last couple weeks.
Yes, it's still very new and exciting.
That's gorgeous. Well, so my Miami Vegan, brand new, and it's just nice to have that little inspiration. That's something that can sit there looking glamorous and seductive, and say, "Why not try me?"
Yeah, that's when COVID ended. Miami was the number one travel destination. It was where everyone wanted to go. And so I thought, let's use that. So I love Miami's allure and mystique, but yeah, I want to ground it in something you can have for dinner or something you can taste, something absolutely real.
So when we come to Miami, there are still some restaurants I hope that vegan restaurants you would recommend that have survived lately. Is there something we can give a shout out to that everybody should try?
I am smitten by a restaurant called L'Artisan Bakery. She is vegan. It is a French pastry shop. It is just incredible. She's won competitions in blind croissant tastings. The very French judges could not believe there was no butter in her croissants. She makes gorgeous all-day brunches, and we go every Saturday. My husband, who is not vegan, has to go with me and have a pastry and a coffee because otherwise he will not do errands with me. It's like, okay, here's our little treat. Now we can get going.
That's high praise because I
It
know
is
you have a very, very strong food knowledge, food background, which we talked about last time you were on you are part of the Les Dames Escoffier.
very good. Yes, I am a proud member. It is a wonderful organization of culinary women, and it's about sisterhood and support. And yeah, just like the vegan tribe is very good at supporting each other, this group is too.
Yeah, because it's not always been a welcoming environment for women in the commercial uh, chefs and
In fact, that was why it was started. Like,
food.
okay, you guys have the kitchen, you've been ruling it. You need to notice us. And it was started by one woman who just said, yeah, let's make this happen.
And now it is a commonplace. Maybe not exactly the same for men and women in this industry, but it is a commonplace for women in the industry.
Yeah, I'm very proud of the strides all our culinary women have made. And when they can do vegan stuff, gosh, that's so great.
So it's an example of how in our lifetimes, and we're very, very, very
Young.
young people in our lifetimes, there have been enormous changes, things that people assumed wouldn't change. And there are more areas for us to grow in as a society.
Absolutely. But I have been vegan so long. The example I give is think of the dairy aisle in your grocery store and erase that wall of plant-based milks because none of them were there when I started. There was just boxed brown soy milk that would sit in your coffee rather than mix with it. And we were happy because that was a vegan option. Now they are so many and they are so delicious. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
It is amazing. It's a huge change. And even just the organic food, when I was a young mom, um, there would just be this sad, just the organic fruit and vegetables would just be this sad looking area. You felt like, is that even real that these are organic? Are they just saying that and charging three times as much? And now it's again, a commonplace that most, even Walmart, will have loads of actual, as far as we know, are organic organic produce for us to choose from.
It's true, and it does show that citizens have power. I try not to use the term consumer as much because I think it just makes us sound passive. We have agency. We can make changes. I mean, yes, we need to vote for people in office, but as people who live here, we can drive change. And we do it with our forks, we do it with our wallets, we do it with every choice we make.
It's absolutely true. And it cannot be said more often enough, can it, Ellen? Because we really often have this sense that the world's just gotten very complicated.
Well, I don't think you're far wrong, but we can't give up. My friend told me a long time ago, if we give up, the bottom feeders win. And if I had a tattoo, it might be that. So yeah, I'm always up for a challenge. And if you can offer something delicious to eat, all the better.
Right. It's win-win. It's win-win. So what is the next challenge, Miss Challenge? What's calling for you? You talked about vegan, what was it?
Oh, vegan means business. That's
Vegan means business. That's where I was missing it. Vegan means business. Is that the next does vegan means business kind of draw you into the next challenge, the next book maybe?
possibly. I'm not like you. I'm not an easy podcaster. I'm not a chatty person. In fact, I think maybe that's why I turned to writing. It's like I can write it. I can put it on paper. I can put it on a keyboard. But I have been asked to do a lot of presentations and cooking classes. And so this is kind of pushing me a little bit because, like, can't I just give you the recipe? No, people want to experience it. And so I'm learning to do that. It's working my edge and I'm kind of liking it.
Well, you are very talented at it. First of all, you are a beautiful woman, Ellen Canner. You are I mean, you're not someone who's made for radio, right? You have a great look. You have great mannerisms. And so I can't wait to have more of you available to the rest of the world because I'm seeing you, but we don't use the video on this podcast. So I'm wondering then if it's a challenge for you to see that next iteration, what draws you day to day? Like, how do you start to make your decisions about what you're going to be involved with?
It has to be, I need to be able to tiptoe into it. Like promotion for Miami Vegan, a lot of times people ask me about myself. I think that is the least interesting part of it, or at least where I get very Bambi in the headlights. But if you ask me to talk about tropical cuisine, if you ask me to talk about being vegan and how to navigate difficult situations, oh yeah, I can keep going and going.
Well, those are the parts that are tricky for people, aren't they? Because I think sometimes we think, oh, she's just good at that. It was easy for her. And maybe it was compared to some other people. Maybe it was easier for you. But now we're here in the moment. These are the choices that get made. That's what people really need to watch you doing.
Oh, well, thank you for that. See, I don't, as I was talking to someone about mentoring, and she said, when you're an entrepreneur, maybe you don't get a lot of mentoring options. You just sort of have to march your way forward. And I think that's true. So I appreciate that feedback.
Well, most of us in this space, no one asked us. No,
Right.
no one said, please, please write a vegan cook. Maybe they did with you, but in general, most people are stepping up first and then seeing where they can be helpful.
I agree. And there's so many different ways to do it. Uh, you are such a warm and generous host, and I think a great guide. Um, so if I can do some of that with food or some of that with classes, because my first book was called Feeding the Hungry Ghost, and the subtitle was Life, Faith, and What to Eat for Dinner, because it always comes down to something really specific.
Mm.
Okay, how do I do this? Give me the basics, give me a start. So I like to be able to provide that.
Because we're making the decisions in the real world. This is not a completely hypothetical simulation. We're actually in traffic with a deadline in a house which maybe has something broken in it or something dirty in
Of
it.
course. Yeah, that is real life too. And we have to be able to, the demands on us are absolutely nuts. But if we can take like some action, make one simple salad, make one positive choice, I think that gives us energy to keep going.
Agreed. Agreed. And every time we get some little inspiration, and you know what? It doesn't hurt when something looks so beautiful as Miami Vegan looks to be on your shelf or on your coffee table or sitting there next to the refrigerator to kind of just like go, well, what about me? What about me? What about me?
I am very proud of I mean, if you can judge a book by its cover, I hope you judge Miami Vegan that way. The cover is beautiful. It is tropical flowers and plants and rounds of citrus. And why I am super proud of it is because everything on it comes from my backyard or the backyard of my photographer.
Oh,
It
is
is
that
not
right?
just beautiful, it is real.
I love
She
that.
was she was very, however, a perfectionist, and I was like, Kathleen, please take this picture before the fruit wilts. No, we have to like, she would just move things around with tweezers, and she has a fantastic eye. And so I'm very grateful for how beautiful the food looks.
Tell us Kathleen's last name so we can shout out to her.
She's amazing. Her name's Kathleen Ballard, and it's Kathleen Ballard Photography.
Kathleen Ballard. That's great. That's great. That because it is a gorgeous book cover, and in these days of AI and which is fine. AI is just it's another tool, but real is real, and photography of actual things from your home, from her home, amazing, amazing.
Thank you. I am not a food photographer, so I really had to work at it. But it was funny when the book was actually out, my husband's flipping through it, and he said, "That's our plate." I said, yeah. That I took that photo. I mean, I had it filtered so you could see more of it, but yeah, that's an iPhone.
Well, we're all food photographers now.
I know.
That was the truth. So let me talk about before I let you go. I want to be respectful of your time, but I'm wondering is as a food writer, I think a lot of people who listen to this podcast, food has become a little bit of entertainment on top of their level of just like getting through the day and nurturing each other and getting nutrition. And is there something about food as entertainment that can be educating us a little bit more?
You've hit on something that I like to explore because I think sometimes food is entertainment. We're looking at it I have a friend who does not cook, who likes to watch food shows and critique them. Uh, and one of the things I liked about Miami Vegan for him was like, I think I can make these recipes.
Mhm.
And that was such a big thing for him because this is not the way he operates. So if you can look at something and say, yeah, that's beautiful, but how can I take that? I really believe in kitchen literacy, that do it yourself beats DoorDash. So if there's any component in anything fun you're seeing, try it at home. Don't just watch it, do it, taste it. Bring all your senses to it.
It's starting with what you have where you are and not waiting for all the ducks to be in a row in some sort of magical time in the future when you've got a free afternoon and a clean kitchen and
Yeah, that never happens. I'm sorry.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't. That is so good. And I think this book, Miami Vegan, is an invitation for us to take a little trip into the world of the tropical flavors, some tropical fruits, but also intersect with things we might have in our pantry as well.
Absolutely. Look, I know what food costs are, so do you. So I wanted to make this accessible, affordable. Food has to be that way for everyone.
No, that's I think that's the last brilliant statement from Ellen Canner today. Ellen Canner, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for talking about Miami Vegan, plant-based recipes from the tropics to your table. I know it's going to be really helpful for a lot of us, and everybody needs to go to Miami and follow Ellen. You are on Instagram and you are soulfulvegan.com, correct?
Right. And I'm on Instagram under my name, Ellen Canner. And I have a Substack, Broccoli Rising.
I love that one. I've learned so much from Broccoli Rising. I don't know if I think I've been remiss. I don't think I've told you how many things I've learned about from that Substack.
Oh, you're so sweet. I have a kind of Trojan horse approach to recipes. I will always give you something delicious to eat, but I like to include a little backstory or a call to action. So I think these things make food more delicious. It gives you buy-in. It gives you insight.
Well, you're a wonderful writer. That's part of it. Is you're able to anchor ideas with narrative, with visuals, or visuals drawn from your words. And so Substack, yes, please follow Broccoli Rising on Substack. That is a really good use of everybody's time. But in the meantime, we're going to give everybody the links in the show notes of how to order Miami Vegan and how to follow you. Ellen Canner, thank you for joining us on Vedge Your Best.
Thank you. Always delicious to be with you.
So what did you think of Ellen? Last time I spoke with Ellen was episode 87. That was May of 2022. I can't believe we're still here. And Ellen always brings it, doesn't she? Humor, heart. Ellen is just filled with the kind of grounded joy that makes you want to head straight to Miami and to her kitchen. And just like with Ellen's previous book, which was called Feeding the Hungry Ghost, this new book, Miami Vegan, plant-based recipes from the tropics to your table, it's not just a cookbook. It's not just recipes. It's a celebration of culture and climate and connection. And I would add compassion in there too. And right after I got off the call with Ellen, I started wondering what each of you would do with Ellen's inspiration. All you Vedge Your Besties. If you were to write a vegan or a plant-based cookbook from your corner of the world, what would you include? Would it be inspired by Sunday dinners growing up, or your gardens, or the local farmers market, church suppers, maybe your favorite dishes that moved over onto the kids' table during the holidays? The stories, maybe, that your grandmother told you with mint tea or lemonade? Ellen shows us what it looks like to honor tradition and reimagine it, keeping the soul of the food while creating something nourishing and sustainable and compassionate for the future. So here's your invitation to look around, maybe start imagining your own version of Miami vegan plant-based recipes from the tropics to your table. What would it be? Cleveland? Cleveland to your countertop? Seattle to your salad bowl? Toronto to your tailgate? Whatever it is, I know. Maybe that's silly, but I guarantee you there's a story in your kitchen. And here at Vedge Your Best, we are giving away 3 copies of Ellen Canner's brand new Miami Vegan to listeners in the U.S. and Canada. And if you are from further abroad, not U.S. or Canada, please just reach out. We'll try to get you the ebook. We'll try to get the ebook into your hands as soon as it's available. You'll just DM me on Instagram, or you can email me at info@michelleolandercoaching.com. In the show notes, you'll be able to see all that. But if you're in a hurry, Miami Vegan is available wherever you look for books, including Ellen's website, soulfulvegan.com, and online at Walmart, or through her publisher, LCIX. Okay, all those notes will be in the, all those links will be in the show notes. And finally, please go subscribe right now to Ellen's Substack, Broccoli Rising. Such a beautiful space, such a beautiful little part of the internet, equal parts brain food, comfort food, and I never miss a post. So we have a bunch of ways this week, from Ellen, from Miami, for you to veg your best. Vedge Your Best podcast production, music, and editing by Charlie Weinshank. Thanks, Charlie. Before you go, it would mean so much to me and the Vedge Your Best team if you would hit subscribe, leave us a 5-star review, or share with someone you think might be interested. Something about algorithms, it helps bump us up a little in the rankings, and that's the best way to help others find the podcast and for us to find our audience. So, until next week, make it easy and veg your best.